All right. Welcome back to a deep drive, a deep podcast, deep left field. A lot of names, a lot of messes up, you know.
Correct.
All right, correct. Only one of them is right. And that's a podcast, deep left field by Castellanos. Today with the eve, or technically, I mean, it's after midnight. So the morning of the NBA opener. We're gonna dive into the Western Conference predictions, and then hopefully if everything works out, we'll have the Eastern up tomorrow. But we'll see. So we're kind of gonna run through every team. I have a couple of points or questions written down for each of them, and then we're gonna maybe give a brief idea of who we think the top six will be and who we think the play-in will be. Yeah. All right, so let's get started. We're gonna go in alphabetical order, with the Los Angeles Clippers to start. And so the first question I have written down is, can they win without Kawhi? Because he's out.
My answer is no.
Yeah, the answer is just no.
I think they can.
Well, I don't think they'll be I think they'll be like above 500, but I don't think like 50, 61 team.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the question. The question is, are they a playoff team with just?
Are they a playoff team? I could say yeah. But will they win the whole thing? I don't think they're a serious threat.
Well, no, but no one's asking if they will win the whole thing.
We said, can they win without Kawhi? They could win games without
Kawhi.
Yeah,
can they win games? That's the question.
Oh yeah, they could win games.
And then so we have a yes in the consensus of they might be a playoff or play-in type of team. And then my second question, or second talking point, is the guard rotation is always weak there. They have Bledsoe, I think, again. Maybe I'm wrong on that.
No, I think that
they have Bledsoe again. They have Reggie Jackson, but I personally think the best move for them is Justice Winslow as the backup point guard, and trot him out with Terrence Mann, because it worked in Miami for a little bit. I think his creation powers are nice, and he's so flexible defensively. So I don't know if he could stay healthy. I like him kind of as that backup point guard role.
I agree there. I don't think we've seen enough of Winslow.
Yeah, I mean, he's been hurt. There's not really much to see there, but
I like how they were using in the preseason, where it's like Winslow played center and point guard in today's preseason game.
He is versatile. 6'8",
Oh, he is. Yeah, I just like how they're using him. I hope he gets some more, like, a decent amount of minutes and stays healthy.
Word. All right. Moving on to the Memphis Grizzlies second. So my two big questions for them is, do we finally see the Jaren Jackson Jr. jump in production? He just got paid 4 years, 105. He's been hurt. He's been okay. He's shown some promise. He can hit the three. He can play defense. Is this a season he averages 20 points, or is it not?
I mean, I would certainly hope so. I mean, with the Grizzlies seeing him, but I mean, I think he could come close to it. I don't think all-star caliber playing out of him, but I think he'll be close to a top level guy for them.
I go no higher than 18 points per game.
I got him at 18.3. So
yeah, 18 around right.
Yeah, I mean, I would say 18. 18 is the, if we're in terms of what jump do we think he'll make? I think 18 is the low estimate because he was around 16. And I think that the optimistic estimate is 21, 22. But that's also on a team that I don't really see as a established playoff team. I think they're going to be good, but I don't think they're like a top six, no play-in team, And then the second question is, which Brandon Clark do they get? Do they get the rookie year or the sophomore year Brandon Clark? Because those were two different players. Rookie year, he was really promising and he looked really good. And then last year, Jaren Jackson was hurt. They started him. They played him a lot with Valanciunas, and that didn't work. I think with Steven Adams, there's a shot that his usage goes back up and he's able to replicate some of that rookie success. But if they get the sophomore Brandon Clark, that's not going to bode well for their bench.
That is, I have the sophomore Brandon Clark on my fantasy team. Wasn't a fan.
And I guess in that same vein, kind of around there, is Desmond Bane going to step up this year? So just some questions to think about. Next is the Jazz. The Utah Jazz might be One of my least favorite teams in the NBA.
It's true.
My two, I don't really think there's a lot to talk about with them. They're very much the same team. My 2 points were, how does Rudy Gay and Hassan Whiteside fit into this team? Two veterans that they brought in. Rudy Gay could definitely start at the power forward and provide them with some veteran presence and some scoring, some defense, 14 points per game, something like that. And then Whiteside to alleviate some of Gobert. My issue with the Whiteside signing is he's the same player as Gobert, just significantly worse. So there's no break. Like, you're not going to switch a screen, and Phoenix already would have killed you with mid-range jumpers if Gobert's in the game. So you gotta, is Whiteside gonna switch onto people? Like, I just think it's too much of the same. There's no versatility.
Yeah. Plus, I don't even feel like Whiteside. Like, not only is he just another worse Gobert, or Rudy Gobert, he was just so bad last year with Sacramento.
Yeah. And then, my other point would be health. Do they stay healthy? That's something you can't predict, but that's the talking point. If Mike Conley and all of them stay healthy, they could challenge for the 1 seed again.
That's what I was gonna say. They'll do the same thing again if they stay healthy.
So yeah. All right, moving on. At the Sacramento Kings.
Boys.
My first question is, what do you get from Marvin Bagley III?
He's so interesting to me. I couldn't tell you. You're either gonna get 6 points out of him or you're gonna get 25.
Well, that's the thing. Like, there are some games where you see him play and you're like, wow, this guy can go 18 and 10 on a nightly basis. And then the second night comes and you're like, wow, this guy can go 5 and 4 on a nightly basis.
Exactly.
So I don't know. The talent's there. The playing time is going to start to diminish. Richaun Holmes, Harrison Barnes. These are guys that are just going to play in his place. So he needs to prove it or get dumped.
Well, what's his name say today? What was it? I think it was Halliburton said it today that the league's sleeping on the Kings. Fans are sleeping on the Kings.
Maybe.
I'll believe it when I see it. I'll keep sleeping on them until they show me otherwise. But
maybe. And speaking of Halliburton, my second point was, what kind of jump does he make? I have Fox making a jump to like a 27 point per game guy. From like 25, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it kind of changes the tier you're seeing in. But what do we get from Halliburton? Because I don't see him as like an elite scorer, obviously, but I do see him as someone who can flirt with like triple-double numbers with low scoring, kind of similar to Draymond Green's prime offensive production in terms of like that kind of action. But we'll see where the rebounds come from. It'll mostly be points and assists. What'd you say?
I don't know. I think you could definitely see a jump from him. I don't know how big of it would. I definitely don't think he'll decline. I think we'll either see the exact same Halliburton or we're going to see one slightly better.
Yeah, I think we see the slightly better Halliburton.
I think we see the much better Halliburton. But next, another contender for my least favorite team in the league. The other team in LA, the Lakers. Again, that's health. They played a lot of games 2 years ago, again, last year in terms of like the bubble and then the season like packed together. And that really took a toll on Anthony Davis and LeBron even. And it's not an excuse for losing in the first round. They were thoroughly outplayed. But the question kind of there is, how do they manage the health? What's the load management look like? How many games are they each going to miss? And then the real question for this team is Westbrook a fit? He looked awful in the preseason, like god awful. And they experimented with some lineups where it was him and Rondo. And that did not work. They were throwing passes off each other's faces. They were getting each other's way. Just a mess.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that team's going to look this year. They're either going to look really good or they're going to look super disappointing. There's too many big names on that roster.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the team is big enough. They're gonna be a top 6 team. That's not a question. The question is, are they going to be a good top 6 team, or are they going to be a team that has a good regular season record and gets bounced? Yeah. Pat?
I've got him on the high. I've got him top 3 seed in the West, and I think Westbrook will do a. I think Westbrook will play a big role of being able to like alleviate some of the pressure that's been put on like LeBron over the last couple of years. Where like he can almost take over the game, give LeBron more rest.
All right. This next team, is the Dallas Mavericks. So Pat's
Boys,
favorite team. You're free to talk about whatever you'd like, but I'm going to get into some of my points first, just to get the ball rolling, and then let you go on whatever speech you'd like to make about the team. So my first question is, who plays center? Is it going to be Kristaps and they play a smaller lineup with the forwards, or are they going to put him back to his more natural position? And then in that case, is it Dwight Powell? Is it Willie Cauley-Stein? Is it Moses Brown?
They still got Boban.
Yeah, Boban's not starting at center. Boban
Well, no, not
plays
starting, but they got
12 minutes
they
a
have
game.
a lot
max.
of height.
Yeah, I mean, a team we'll get to in our next video. The Cavs have a lot of height.
True.
But yeah, I don't really know who plays center there. And then is there going to be a single ounce of secondary creation from anyone? Jalen Brunson showed a little bit, but they are the most heliocentric offense I've ever seen. The ball is significant, like only in Luka's hands, and Luka's a great player, but that's not a recipe for success. It didn't work for Wilt. It didn't work for Harden. Like, it's just not like having the ball in one player's hands for every play, and to not like it's fine to give the ball to your star player every play. Like LeBron touches it every play, like Jordan touched it every play. But the issue was like for him to be relied on to do all of the creation, like he has to create for himself and for every single other teammate. It's not going to work in terms of a recipe for success.
well, I think you're missing the big offseason acquisition. They got Reggie Bullock from the Knicks.
Thank God.
The quintessential non-creator. Reggie Bullock.
Yeah, and another Dorian Finney-Smith.
Oh,
no, it's a little disrespectful to Reggie Bullock's shooting ability, but yeah. So, is there any points you'd like to make, Pat, about this team?
Big jump for Luka, probably averages like 40, 15, and 10. No,
Right.
but I think it's gonna be. They didn't really. It's basically the same team. I think I got Reggie Bullock, Moses Brown, but I don't know how much of a role he's gonna end up playing. So
that's what
it's really gonna be if Porzingis can like return to like he's not gonna be the Porzingis on the Knicks, but if he can be like, because I do think they'll be a playoff team. So it'd be like if he can be like slightly better, like show some improvement, get back to like just being good again, or like because he showed glimpses. If he can like do it over a consistent run and stay healthy, I think they could be like win some round, like maybe get through like second or third round in the playoffs in the West.
Word. I mean, I hope Moses plays a big role. It'd be nice to see a familiar face going off.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'd love to see some of
that. The next is a team that I like, and a group of fans that I think are a little delusional. That would be the Denver Nuggets. You weren't going to beat us if Jamal was healthy. Who plays point guard? Because I really like Monty Morris and I really like Bones Highland. I think both players are phenomenal. And I think that they have some weird obsession with playing Facu Campazzo. And he's not good at basketball. And they love playing him for some reason. I don't know.
I'd start you.
Like, I think that it's going to be Monty Morris probably, or Facu at the end of the day. Like, Monty Morris is a fantastic point guard. Like, he would start on a lot of teams. But I just don't know if that offense works as well with Michael Porter Jr. being the primary scorer outside of Jokic, because like we know Jokic is going to get his, and we know that a lot of his stuff with Murray worked so well because like they set screens for each other, and it was like not only was it like a pick and roll for Jokic, it was a pick and roll for Murray. Like Murray was the roll guy a lot of the time, and Michael Porter Jr. is just like not a smart basketball player. He just kind of like he's so talented, and that's not like to diminish him in any way. Like if, it honestly highlights his talent more that he's that like dumb on the basketball court and still manages to be an elite, like a really good NBA player. Just like where does that Jamal Murray creation go? And then my second point was kind of the backup versus starting power forward role, kind of that shift. Is it going to be Zeke Naji, or is it going to be their recent acquisition of Jeff Green?
That's what I was just thinking about, Jeff Green. I was hoping somebody's going to bring him up. That's a very underrated signing for them.
Yeah, I
think
think
it's gonna be
Jeff Green is very solid, but I think in terms of like internal development, you hope that Zeke Naji takes that jump, and a Najee Harris type of jump, but takes that jump to the point where it's actually a conversation that has to be had. And I think that's the goal for them in terms of development. Any other points from you guys before we move on?
Another one with the Nuggets is they got Austin Rivers, I think they brought in still.
Yeah, they returned. They brought him back. Yeah.
Austin Rivers could get some games in at the point guard starting wise. I mean, if it's really that big of a.
Hopefully not.
Well, hopefully not.
He's
but
not
I
a
think
good point guard.
Definitely could steal a couple of starts throughout the season.
I think they view him more as a shooting guard. I think he might start at shooting guard.
Yeah.
With Gary Harris gone.
But. Yeah. We see it from Aaron Gordon.
Yeah.
I hope Gordon. A lot.
I don't hope a lot.
I'd like to see him do good, but like I don't know. He just kind of got lost in there was no offensive production last year when he went to the Nuggets. Well, there was some, but like
yeah, in the playoffs there wasn't.
The occasional spark.
Yeah. All right, moving on. We got the Pelicans. Two guys, obviously, the two big guys are Zion and Brandon Ingram. And the highlight there is it'd be nice to see what they can do on ball because they lost both of their point guards, and they brought in Devontae Graham, who shouldn't have the ball, because he is one of like the worst on-ball shooters I've seen in a while. So it's gonna be really interesting to see, like maybe get some Zion pick and rolls where he's like the point guy and get him like a head of steam, Giannis style. I mean Zion has been handling the ball the last year or so he definitely can do it. And maybe see some BI primary creation would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then my other point that we should talk about is do they get a jump from anyone? My highlighted guy was Nickeil Alexander-Walker. But Kira Lewis, Trey Murphy could make jumps. We should see. Anybody you guys are looking at specifically?
No, I'd agree with Alexander Walker, but I also think Brandon Ingram jumps back up to where he was the year before last year.
I think scoring identical stats last year to the year.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Scoring wise, I think he was exactly the same, but I think
across the board he was.
Was he really
the same? Yeah.
Oh well, I guess I'll say Brandon Ingram does better than he did those 2 years. I'll go with that then. I think Brandon Ingram has a big year, but I do think Lonzo Ball will be missed in that lineup a lot. I think his presence is going to be missed.
I don't think they'll miss him because they didn't use him. They just didn't use him enough.
I like Lonzo.
Eric Bledsoe. You can bring up the ball. It's the dumbest thing they could do. Pat, anybody you're highlighting?
Not anyone specific. Just like some of those role players you named. I think their chance will be to really like step up right away while Zion is out. Like that could be like impactful towards the end, or just getting into the season, see who is going to be able to provide for you once he does come back to have like the smaller roles, but still be able to provide for some points.
Yeah, I'd also like to I forgot to write this down, but maybe highlight I think Jonas Valanciunas can have a good year. I don't think that he's going to be like super good, but I think that like a dip in scoring down to like 13, 14 points, but like a kind of like an uptick because Zion's not a very good rebounder. Maybe uptick to like 11, 12 rebounds a game. That would be like really useful for them.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next is, I would say one of the most interesting teams in the league. Like them or not, is the Houston Rockets. So you got the Kevin Porter Jr., Jalen Green, Christian Wood, big three. Didn't think I would ever say those three names as a big three 2 years ago, but here we are. Jalen Green maybe, but the other two no. I really like Kevin Porter Jr. I thought he would have been a lot higher of a pick if he wasn't suspended in college. And then traded for throwing soup, or no, that's J.R. Smith. Oh no, it might have been Kevin Porter Jr. too.
No, it was Kevin Porter Jr.
Yeah, I think Porter Jr. as well. No, they both threw soup then.
Yeah, I think that was like last year.
Yeah. So, well, no, JR did it in the past too.
Well, no, I know, but I'm saying I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I mean, KPJ is probably going to be the primary ball handler. Jalen Green's going to get his own touches, and Wood's going to get his touches. I don't really think any of those three statistically are going to be in question. My questions kind of were, what is the minute distribution for Josh Christopher and Alperen Sengun? the two rookies. Both looked really promising in the summer league and then in preseason. So I mean, I hope they both get minutes. But well, I mean, I think eventually like Kelly Olynyk. Oh no, he's on the Pistons now. Somebody will lose minutes and they'll pick them up as they continue to rebuild because they're not going to be good.
Yeah.
Anybody you guys want to highlight?
Do the Houston Rockets still have David Nwaba?
Yes, they do.
All right, that's all I needed to know. He's coming off what? The torn Achilles, I want to say it was.
I have no idea.
Because he's
That's the question.
right when he started getting hot with Houston last year, he tore something and he was out for the rest of the season. So if he comes back and he picks up where he left off, David Nwaba could be a good piece there.
Okay.
Yeah, give me that. Write that down. David Nwaba, if he's healthy, and he picks up where he left off, he could be a piece of that Rockets team.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be writing that down.
All right.
Write that down. Write that down.
Pat, anybody you'd like to highlight?
David Nwaba.
I would say
naturally. David Nwaba, the legend.
Nets legend right there.
Is that really who you want to be a Nets legend, though? That's the question at the end.
David Nwaba, hell yeah.
All right, buddy. That's something you really want. We can do that.
I'll take it.
All right. The next team. Sorry, I'm trying to fix something over here. My focus is off for a second. Okay, here we go. All right. Next team we want to look at is the San Antonio Spurs.
Ooh.
I am down on the Spurs.
Mhm.
I'm high on the Spurs players, but down on the team.
I think you'd have to be. No, I agree.
I really like Keldon Johnson. I know, I've owned him in fantasy for 2 years, one when he was a rookie and one, last year. And I for some reason I have this faith in him. But he played for Team USA, he's got the promise. I think he's gonna be really good. So what jump do they get from him? Do they trade Thaddeus Young eventually? I think that's gonna happen. I don't know. What do you guys? Who do you want to highlight? I mean, DeJounte Murray, Derek White.
That's what I was.
Jakob
That's pretty
Poeltl.
much the guy I was gonna say was DeJounte Murray. I think he's gonna have to take a leap. I don't know what else that team looks like. I think it's what Doug McDermott, like you said, Thaddeus Young. Like there's not much.
Yeah, I mean the team's not good, but I don't think. I think the question is who of DeJounte Murray, Derek White, Devin Vassell, Lonnie Walker, Keldon Johnson, Jakob Poeltl, Thad Young, Doug McDermott, guys like who steps up, who scores. And then the last.
I want to hope it's DeJounte Murray, but
yeah, DeJounte Murray's definitely got a shot. Pat,
I actually have this. This might be a little out there, call me crazy, but I've got the Spurs trading for LaMarcus Aldridge and bringing him back, and he will provide the resurgence of the franchise.
Oh,
Christ,
that's what they need.
A little story time, because I feel like I'm the only one tapped into any level of NBA history here. But LaMarcus Aldridge was never supposed to be a Spur. He agreed in principle to a deal with the Phoenix Suns after leaving the Portland Trailblazers. But he made it abundantly clear that he would not play center. So the Suns traded one of the Morris twins, because they had both, traded one of the Morris twins for Tyson Chandler. And they brought Tyson Chandler as the free agent negotiator. They brought him as like the package, like the Warriors brought Steph, Clay, and Draymond to see KD. The Suns brought Tyson Chandler to see LaMarcus Aldridge. And LaMarcus Aldridge essentially had agreed to a deal in principle, and then he, out of respect, had lunch with Pat Riley, who knew that he wasn't going to get him for the Heat, but thought if I can get him for a team kind of like us, then maybe I'll get him in the future. So he kind of negotiated LaMarcus Aldridge to going to San Antonio.
Wow.
And then the other Morris twin was upset when they didn't get LaMarcus Aldridge because he was like, you traded my brother for nothing. So a little fun fact.
The more you know.
A little Robert Sarver trivia that we're going to get to in a minute. My last point is over under 30 wins for this team.
I'm going to go under, but I think they'll be close around there.
Pat?
Exactly 30.
I have them at 31 and 51, so I'm gonna take the over. All right. Next, my team, the Phoenix Suns. It was a long 10 years. Let's just say that. But it feels good. I know I spoke to Pat before. The first thing we got to talk about is what happened today.
Oh yeah.
I don't think it's about money. I think it's about Robert Sarver's ego. And honestly, I mean, at the end of the day, it's about money because he has some unwillingness to spend money on the NBA team. And I don't get it. If you're not going to spend money, why own the team? You're in the 5th largest city in the country. Like at some point, something's got to click with you. Getting that out of the way, because, everybody, I'm sure people have heard about the Joe Johnson, the Amari Stoudemire, the Rajah Bell situations. Get that out of the way. DA is here for 1, probably minimum 2 more years. I would say they're going to max him in the offseason, or they're going to match whatever offer he gets in the offseason. But I think it's important for us to, take a step back to address, they did him wrong, but also it's not the end of the world. Mccall Bridges is my second, just the name Mccall Bridges, the only player in the NBA, as I like to say sometimes. I think he scores 20 points a game this year. Chris Paul is aging. McCall has shown aggressiveness in the end of last season and this season in creating his own mid-range shot. And he is an elite cutter, an amazing transition player, and a 42% three-point shooter. If he can hit the mid-range shot, which, he did last year, if he can hit that consistently and get that volume, there's no reason he shouldn't score 20 points a game.
That's it. I'd like to see it.
Playing elite defense too.
Oh, of course.
Mccall Bridges might be my favorite player in the NBA for anyone that isn't aware by now from that one. And then my third point in reference to today's actions is I expect to see a lot of 3-guard lineups for the Suns. So last year they focused heavily on the forward lineups and they always had 2 guards. And so most of the time it was Chris Paul or Devin Booker or Cam Payne, like any of those, 2 of those 3 at all times were playing. And then, it was Cam Johnson, Abdel Nader, guys like that coming in for McCall and Jay Crowder, and then Dario and Frank coming in for Ayton. But this year, they got JaVale, which I think is going to be a nice presence for them coming in for Ayton. And then, again, there's not much at the forward positions. And so I think signing Shamet to that deal indicates that Shamet, Payne, Book, CP3, there's going to be a lot of 3-guard lineups there during the games.
Yeah, I was definitely surprised to see Shamet actually got, I don't want to say a long-term deal with 4, but I was surprised to see that they're actually
3 years and then a team option on the 4th.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see that they're not, I don't want to say committing, because obviously you can move him, but
no, they're pretty much committing. Because this is something that they've done. This is something that they've done. So Monty Williams has 4 guys that he kind of identified as players that he wanted into his system from previous connections or from, just like seeing them beforehand. And the 4 players that he really wanted on his team were Chris Paul, Dario Saric, Jay Crowder, and Landry Shamet, and they all signed 4-year deals. So the organization has a level of commitment to, and then also Mccall Bridges, he loves it. He got a 4-year deal. So there's kind of like a level of commitment that the organization has to his guys. And so I wasn't shocked at all to see Shamet re-signed. I was just annoyed that it would happen before your max guy.
Yeah.
That's my issue.
Understandably.
I just Robert Sarver said that at the end of the day, he didn't identify DeAndre Ayton as a player worthy of a max. And every other insider in the league, insider, owner, GM was like, what are you talking about? Like I get, I'm sure you guys know, and the people here will, if as the NBA season, I will talk a lot about the Suns. DeAndre Ayton has been wildly inconsistent for 3 years. Rookie year he was pretty good, no defense whatsoever. Sophomore year, amazing, but he was on PDs, and he was suspended for a chunk of games, and he looked a little bit better. And then the bubble came, and he basically put up nothing, even though they did well. And then this year came and his points and rebounds, his counting stats went down, but his impact went up. He was much more efficient. He was an amazing defender. In the playoffs, he looked really good. But for everybody that doesn't watch every game during the season like I do, is something that you won't identify is that he does not put that effort out every night. He puts out most of that effort some nights. And if he can do that every night, then he's obviously like a stud, like worth a max. And I think worth a max and getting a max are two different things. I think he deserves a max. I don't think he's worth a max, but that's a different story. So especially if Porter Jr. is getting a max and Jaren Jackson Jr. is getting 105 million.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. If you compare him to the other guys that got the max.
Yeah, I mean, Mccall Bridges for 4 years, 90 is a steal. But we'll get into that. We'll see at the end of the season. I'll tell you.
Come back.
So that's my prediction for the Suns. And so next up we have the Oklahoma City Thunder. This team is going to be terrible. So I wrote down Giddey, Shea, Dort. Can we move on?
That about sums it up.
So yeah.
Okay.
We'll talk about the Thunder in 2026.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to be good eventually.
They know what they're looking at. They know the younger guys they're looking at.
Those 8th graders.
Yeah, they got some idea of what they want to do.
All right. T-Wolves next. I wrote two things. I wrote push your Vanderbilt agenda because I think Vanderbilt should be starting. So I think he's really good. And then the second one is who starts among Malik Beasley and Patrick Beverly, because they're not going to start both. And so the question is,
now they got Pat Bev.
Pat Bev sucks. He is not a good basketball player.
Oh, I'm not saying he's good. I just forgot he was there.
I am saying he's not good officially. He is a bad basketball player. However, and he's not a good defender. He's an annoying defender. And so I think he would work well next to D'Angelo Russell because he doesn't do anything offensively. So D'Angelo Russell has all the offensive responsibility and none of the defensive responsibility. And I think if you play Edwards at the 3, it could work. But I also think if you did D'Lo, Edwards, Beasley at the 3, it could also work. So it's kind of a question of, do you want more firepower at, in the offense, or do you want, a little bit of a defensive presence because the rest of your team can't play defense? Cat can't play defense in life.
Well, do they still have Ricky Rubio or
no?
Ricky Rubio is gone.
I am almost positive Ricky Rubio's gone, but I can confirm before.
Yeah, no, I'm curious now because if you do have Ricky Rubio, that could be like he is gone. He's on the Cavs.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think the play in terms of my opinion, I think Beasley's the better player, but I think he would be a really good in the Jordan Clarkson 6th man, like you run that secondary offense role. You might be able to put up 20 off the bench. So, we'll see. Anything you guys want to add about this team?
I think Pat Bev is the piece that puts them over the edge. And with the Pat Bev signing, they get the Timberwolves into the top 12 in the West.
Oh, man.
All right. Trailblazers. I am down on the Trailblazers.
Yeah, I am as well.
So my 2 points were, does Norman Powell repeat his success from last year? I think he can, but the question is he going to get the opportunity to with Dame and CJ? And then the second point was, do they even make the play-in?
I've got to make the plan.
I don't.
Intriguing.
I think they do, but it's not going to be easy. Like, I don't think they're.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, if Damian Lillard is healthy all season, they definitely have a shot to do anything because he's shown that he can carry this team to the playoffs.
That's what I was going to say. Like, he'll put them on his back.
Yeah, but they won't do anything when they get there. So I don't really think that's...
No, they're not going to go far, but they can definitely make a plan.
Yeah. And then the last team is the Golden State Warriors. I wrote Poole, Clay, Wiseman, a couple of questions you got to ask yourself.
That's what I just said. There's a lot of questions with this team.
Is Clay? Game 6 Clay.
That's the number one question, I think, with that roster. Is what are you going to get from Clay?
What are you going to get from Draymond? We don't really know.
I've never been high on Draymond.
I've been massively high on Draymond.
I probably won't ever be high on Draymond.
I mean, he's never going to be better than he was, but in 2016, Draymond Green was arguably the most important player in the NBA.
Really?
Yeah, in my opinion, for his team. There was, he's not the same player that he once was, but there was a time where he was playing the best defense of any player in the league, guarding 1 through 5, running a defense, running the offense. Essentially, he was the primary ball handler, and basically, teasing a triple double every night. And I think at the end of the day, that Game 7 finals performance that year capped off his season. That 32.9 rebounds, 7 assists game with 6 threes is something that you won't see from him again. I don't know what happened to him, but Wiseman finally playing some. We'll see if he stays healthy and what he can do. People are really high on Jordan Poole.
That was the name I was just thinking of.
There's a shot.
I don't think I said his name, but my biggest X factor for the Golden State Warriors is Andre Iguodala.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Still here.
There is no death being pointed at us.
No, he's
There's
back.
no reason you should have him.
Well,
He's
no,
up
but I'm saying
last
still
year.
in the league.
Yeah, he's back in Golden State.
Thank God.
He's got to be the biggest X factor for that team.
Christ.
What else do they have additions wise? With
Otto Porter.
okay. Otto Porter is there. I know they got one of the best backup point guards in the NBA, Chris Chiozza.
Nope.
They got rid of Kelly Oubre.
They did. He's
They
on the
did.
Hornets.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the Warriors situation. So if you guys want to talk, who are your 4 play-in teams?
Play-in teams?
Play-in teams, 10 through 7 in the conference. I can go first if you guys want to take some time to consider.
Yeah.
My 10 seed is the Kings. I think they finally jump up this year. My 9 is the Timberwolves. I think if they stay healthy, there's no reason they shouldn't make the playoffs. My 8 is the Clippers. I think that they struggle a bit, and Paul George has his rest days. So, and then my 7 is the Grizzlies. I think that they finally take that step with Ja and Jaren and Dylan Brooks and Steven Adams. So that's my plan.
I have 2 of the same 4. I have the Clippers and Grizzlies, and my other 2 are the Trailblazers, and I'm not either the Warriors or the Pelicans. One will be the 6, one will be the 7.
Interesting. I have the Pelicans at 12.
Intriguing.
Yeah. Nick?
Yeah, no, mine look pretty much exactly like Pat's, except for instead of the Pellies, I'm taking the Warriors.
Okay. And then I have my 6 to 1. If you guys want to give like a general idea of like additions or subtractions from my list, or just changing the order around to make it easier instead of like trying to think of 6.
Yeah.
At 6, I have the Warriors. Any changes? I know, Nick, you have a change there.
Well, yeah, I've got the Warriors in plan.
Yeah, so I have the Warriors at 6. Who would you put 6 instead?
Go your rest. Let me see what the other 5 look like.
Pat, anybody? You maybe have the Warriors at 6 because you.
Yeah, I have them or the Pelicans 6 or 7.
5, I have the Mavs. 4, I have the Nuggets. 3, I have the Lakers. 2, I have the Jazz, and 1, I have the Suns.
I will take the Jazz at 5.
Interesting, and I'm guessing the Mavericks at 2. Or
No,
at 1?
no, they're not that high. I just don't think the Jazz are going to be like that, I think.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Nick?
I think the only number that I have is I got Phoenix at the 1, and I have Jazz at the 2, and then everything else I have jumbled. Like I'm mixing up all my teams here. I gotta write them all out.
But I'm guessing you have Lakers, Nuggets, Mavs, and one other team.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's kind of a consensus on who the top 5 teams are.
Yes.
And what order is going to be different depending on fandom and bias and belief and other things. But I think the Suns, Jazz, Lakers, Nuggets, Mavs, that's the West contenders.
Yeah,
I think the Warriors could get there depending on what we see from Clay and development. And then the other teams I think are fighting for the play-in on who gets the right to be eliminated by Phoenix. Yeah. All right. So
Yeah.
I mean that's it for the West. Maybe just a quick, shot in the dark prediction. Who makes it out of the West this year? Obviously, I'm gonna stick with the Suns.
I'll take the Mavericks.
Naturally.
I'll take the Suns again.
W. Good choice. Landry Shamet brings that Nets.
Shamet and Chiozza.
Chiozza is on the Warriors.
Oh, fuck, right.
So yeah.
Suns now.
Yeah, right.
This will probably be out soon. My guess is I'll download it and then maybe upload it like noon or 1 tomorrow. So 1 o'clock ish. I'm saying all this like people are actually like following us. We got like 15 people watching these videos, but
True
five
fan.
of them being me.
Frank Nicholas.
The real fan base.
It's early. We've only been a channel for a week, so let's give the podcast some time.
Let's shout out DK Metcalf at the end of the podcast, and we'll see a friend.
Oh yeah,
through.
Lives
We'll
rent
see if
free
he
in that kid's head.
We'll really see if he listens to our podcast.
So DK is better than Antonio Brown.
He is. He just is. There's no argument for this year.
But yeah, now we see if Frank listens.
Anyway, so yeah, I think so we'll try to have that out by 1, and then maybe if we can record the East tomorrow, that would be good. I got a lot of questions on the East side, a lot more question marks. So
a lot going on that side.
Yeah. So that's it. Thanks for watching if you're still here.